I'll be bold here. Christian Science teaches that spirituality, not materiality, is really the fundamental nature of who we are. This spiritual view that God has of us frees us to experience that we are not trapped by the world's narratives. We are wholly defined by our divine source. When I started college, a bunch of things happened over the course of the year that started to snowball, and like a relationship fell apart. And I went into a tailspin. I fell into a deep depression, and I started crying uncontrollably sometimes. I stopped connecting with people socially. I just stopped going to classes, and I dropped out of college. And I'd had family members who had struggled with severe depression for years. They'd exhausted the usual treatments for this, and I just did not want to go down that road. And there was one day when I was just struggling so much, I was crying uncontrollably, and I was just trying to sleep. I didn't want to deal with it. But then something happened. As I was trying to sleep, something kept waking me up. It was this tune of a song that just kept gently playing in thought. And this was a song that I had heard as a child. It was a hymn. I didn't remember the words, but it felt so lifting. As it gently played in thought, I was beginning to experience this sense of love that I had never really experienced in that way before. It was this divine presence of love, God, that was speaking to me in a way that I could really understand. It was like it was saying, I'm not going to let you sink. I'm never going to let you go. And it was after that that I really wanted to know more about God. And so I did something I hadn't done before. I started reading the Bible, and I wanted to know how other people experienced God. I remembered that there were people called Christian Science practitioners, and so I called one. They're individuals that are available to pray with anyone who's seeking healing. And when I called this practitioner and described a little bit about what was going on, they were so loving, they were so caring. They shared ideas about God with me from the Bible, also from Mary Baker Eddy's text, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. Mary Baker Eddy is the founder of Christian Science, and her text shares how to experience God's healing nature so consistently. It just opens up the Bible's message of healing. And it was soon after calling that practitioner and praying with them that uncontrollable crying just stopped. And there was steady progress from there as I was learning to pray more and more day to day until that depression just entirely lifted. And I returned to college that next year with a whole new outlook. Well, it was after that, turning to God, praying became so much more of a day-to-day, just something I did as a way of life. But anytime even just a sense of sadness would come, I would pray more and listen to more of what the Bible describes as this wisdom from above, coming from God, saying this is the way forward, listening for ideas that would be constructive. And there was one day as I was prayed, this idea occurred to me, go apply for a job in a flower shop. That felt like a really good idea. It was really coming from beyond me because I had no experience working in a flower shop. But I followed through on that and got a job in a flower shop nearby. And it was this joyful experience, just meeting with people and asking them why they had come in to share flowers or buy flowers, loving the messages that people would share as they called on the phone to order flowers. And it was such a blessing of experiencing more of what the Bible describes as God as the fount of life, the source of joy that can be experienced and expressed in every interaction that we have. One way I've loved how Christian Science defines God's nature is as the principle of all harmonious being. And principle has that sense of constancy to it. It's not coming and going. It's not sporadic. It's the very governing law of who we are. And so life, we have a right to experience what it means to live in harmony with good and harmony with love, because that's the very nature of God that defines us. I love to sing, and when I learn new songs, sometimes I don't sing all the notes the way that they're supposed to sound. But if I just started accepting those notes as a part of the piece, I wouldn't get very far in singing this song. And if I started examining all those notes and trying to figure out where did they come from, I'd be missing what this song is really all about. And that's like really turning to God's view of us. No matter what narratives try to play out, like in the world, or limiting stories that we may rehearse about who we are, the moment we turn to God's view, it's so freeing, because God assures us in whatever way that can really meet our need and speak to our hearts, that this is the true view. It's the right notes that God is expressing of us that has the authority of being true. I have a good friend who, when she was around 14, she was hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital, and she was diagnosed as bipolar, was on medications for this. She said that she had no context for feeling like there would ever be a solution to this. Like it was kind of like feeling like this is just who she was and who she would always be. But a friend introduced her to Christian Science, and as she began discovering this view of God as the source of our real nature and identity, she began to experience hope and an expectation of good. And she called me one day and she said, "I'm struggling with a sense of depression. Could you pray with me about this?" And I remember right there on the phone, this idea came to share with her that we are given a purpose every day to express God's nature in a way that really makes a difference. And this light went on for her. She went out to really live this. And the next time she called, she was so happy. She said, "I got a job working in an elementary school." And she was just feeling so joyful about this. And she was experiencing more of a stability and a consistent sense of joy and happiness in her life. I think what she was experiencing is something that's shared in Science and Health. It says, happiness is spiritual, born of truth and love. It cannot exist alone, but requires all mankind to share it. She was seeing and experiencing the source of real, genuine joy as coming from God. And that gift couldn't be taken away from her by family history, a body, world circumstances. Christian Science is not trying to fix anything or anybody. It's really a way of honoring who we authentically are, what rings true about us, who we are as defined by this great good that's God. And there is everything so loving and compassionate about that. Jesus didn't see people as flawed. He held such a universally constant view of everyone as the very complete whole expressions of God. And that brought such love and healing and transformation to people's lives. And Christian Science shares and explains so practically, we can experience that today.